A good morning to our esteemed viewers. Welcome to today's exclusive interview on human trafficking. Many of you ask yourselves what human trafficking is, but with me in studio today is KIGENYI DERRICK, the Deputy Head, National Coordination Office for Prevention of Trafficking in Person in Uganda, and he's going to delve into the greater details of what human trafficking is about, the different forms of human trafficking, and what preventative measures have been taken to combat human trafficking in Uganda. Welcome, Mr. BASAALIRWA DERRICK.
Thank you, Patricia. Our dear viewers, you're most welcome to this dialogue. I'm BASAALIRWA DERRICK, as Patricia has mentioned. I'm the Senior Immigration Officer and the Deputy to the National Coordinator in the National Coordination Office for Prevention of Trafficking in Persons in Uganda. First, I would like to let us know what the National Coordination Office looks like and what it is. Then we can get into the detail of what our gist of the matter is. That is human trafficking, or what we commonly know as modern day slavery. And technically, for us, we refer to as trafficking in persons. The Coordination Office for Prevention of Trafficking in Persons was established by the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act, CAP 131 of 2009. And this act provided for prosecution of the crime of trafficking in persons or human trafficking. And the same act, under Section 20, under the Minister's hand, provided for the establishment of the National Coordination Office for preventing any activities related to trafficking of human beings in and out of our country. So the office also is under the operation and management of the National Task Force Chairperson, who is the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Internal Affairs, Lieutenant General Joseph Musanifu. And the National Task Force, also established under the law, the same act, brings together all partners, all responsible parties that are in the field of combating trafficking in persons or human trafficking in our country. And this, to the list, includes all MDAs represented, CSOs are represented on this, and international partners that play a role in combating human trafficking. Yes. To get into a little more of the genesis of what the crime looks like, human trafficking or modern day slavery did not start yesterday, nor did it start here in Uganda only, but it's a global crime, for our information. And the United Nations came together also and paid attention to this. And in the year 2000, the United Nations Transnational Organized Crime Protocol was established in Palermo, Italy. And to these all member countries that have ascended to the protocol and have ratified also, like Uganda has, became member and parties to combating human trafficking. So the good news is that our country ratified the UN talk and all its 3 supplementary protocols. And that means that anyone in the country, not only citizens, but anyone who falls victim to trafficking in persons is also protected by the law, and the perpetrators of the same people are also going to be brought to book at any point in time. And it does not matter if the perpetrator has left the country, the law will still follow them wherever they will go, and this will be to the benefit of the victims that are in question. Now, for you, our viewers, what do we understand by human trafficking or trafficking in persons? Under the layman's lens, these are the normal things that we see happen, but we have actually normalized them. I'll start with these examples before I give you the technical definition. Examples such as housemates that we have at home. Examples such as shop attendants or supermarket attendants. We have persons in bars, those waiters. We have people that are working for us in our gardens, shamba boys. We have also students, because now students are targeted. They're being lied to about sponsorships for education. Parents are also falling victim to these promises. We have persons that are also practicing what we call child sacrifice. Yes, this is another form of human trafficking. Persons are losing organs. Their organs from their bodies are being harvested by perpetrators. They're being taken to other countries to conduct these precisions, to take out their organs for sale. We must know that all these are forms of human trafficking, to mention but a few. Now, to bring to your attention from those few examples, and so many that you can as well list that come close to that. Human trafficking, for us, we derive the definition from the United Nations Transnational Organized Crime Protocol. And this definition, we also domesticate, but we do not deviate from what it is. And good enough, our Act maintained the same definition also from that which is international. And to mention, the definition tells us that trafficking in persons involves the actions, means, and purpose, to which the purpose is ultimately exploitation of another person. I want us to get this right. Human trafficking involves three things. It involves the actions, the means, and the purpose to which this person intends to traffic you. What is involved within the actions? One, someone will recruit. It involves recruitment. It also involves transportation of you, the individual that is being trafficked. Someone recruits you from the village deep there. They transport you on a bus or on a truck. Some of you end up on the plane off to the Gulf or other countries after you have been recruited. Then, from being transported, some of you are transferred. Victims are transferred from place to place. These transfers also include use of means of transport, okay? From one house to another, from one working area to another, from one place of exploitation to another. So, Patricia, I think you've heard of our people crying out and saying, I've been moved from this chiyumba
to another chiyumba. Some of them say, I'm in a bed, I was taken, I'm in a bed space, I've not been given a job.
No food, no job. I have to look for a way to survive on my own.
Yes.
This is what we mean, that this person is going through the process of exploitation after they have been trafficked. They're transferred from point A to point B.
Yes.
Meanwhile, the perpetrator is actually exploiting this person at every point. Sometimes they are being paid by those who use the victim. Sometimes they are asking the victim to transport themselves, but again they ask for that money.
Speaking of the exploitation, when it comes to labor companies, we get to see that they look at these, they target desperate young men and women who are in search of employment, like due to poverty, the economic crisis, and they want to earn means of living. So these labor companies target these individuals. They ask you to pay for a passport, they ask you to pay a certain sum of money to transport you from Uganda to maybe the Arab Emirates or any other place that they want to transport you to,
Yes.
promising you to give you a job. Luckily, there are those that lose hope and end up not going, but we have seen those that go and end up facing certain challenges, like those that are trafficked from point A to point B. Others are in bed spaces. They're promised to be given jobs, but they're not given jobs, and they escaped poor conditions back home, but even where they have been taken, they are in other terrible conditions.
I must say, to this effect, not all labor companies that externalize our people for work are necessarily into trafficking.
Yes.
What could happen is some that are even licensed could abuse. They could find individuals in the company who are abusing this facility, and then they use it to traffic other people in it. However, Ministry of Gender is very strict with these labor recruitment companies. And once they find out with evidence that you are actually trafficking people, they will withdraw the license and you will not do this again. So there are laws. These laws are very applicable, and it has happened. We have cases where we have had companies that have lost licenses and they cannot come back to this business. And every year, government has gone ahead and made it even more stringent to ensure, especially protection of our people. So, if I must conclude our definition, it's a bit lengthy, but it's important for our viewers to understand where the conversation starts and how they should define human trafficking. So at the point where we're talking of our people moving from one chiumba
To the other
to another.
chiumba.
This is also happening here in our country. A house girl can be moved from one house to another. The agent can even decide and say, okay, you will work there 3 months. After, we find a reason for you to leave.
And we take you to another house.
While you're here at work, your housemate calls you and says, Auntie, I'm leaving.
Some
Or you
don't
may even go
call.
back and find she has gone.
Some just leave your kids outside
Thank you.
and then
Imagine, the agent has now whisked her away to another place.
household
Why? Because this is where the agent benefits from.
benefits from.
For them, whenever they have someone who needs a housemaid, that person sends transport.
And they
because
get
you're tied up
commission
in
from
work,
that transport.
you quickly send that transport. How much? 50,000. And you send. You don't even question because you have need. Now, this girl is moved from Mukono, maybe to Machindie, from Machindie to Mbarara, from Mbarara back to another place, until probably they get fed up of being in this mess and they decide to shout for their lives. Now that is transfer from place to place.
Yes.
We have receipt, those who receive these people. You may call them transit places, but the law also holds you culpable. As long as you receive an individual and you harbor them also, because harboring is part of the actions.
Yes.
You keep the people in your place. Once we find out that you're harboring victims, we shall take you up.
How about in case I'm unaware that I'm harboring a victim
That's a
of
nice
human
one.
trafficking?
That's a very nice one, and very commonly people ask that, what if I do not know? But our constitution is very clear. Our laws are very clear.
Yes.
That ignorance of the law is no defense.
Exactly.
Very clear. You are at your own discretion and liberty to just pause there and ask a question. Why are these girls in this house? So many. Maybe run to the nearest police and let them know. Let them come and start to investigate. Why is so and so keeps so many girls in a house? They probably only come out at night.
There are those that don't even come out. You're fed.
So this
everything
means,
is done in
Patricia,
there.
you've seen these things, but you did not know that actually some of these people are victims of being
human
trafficked.
trafficking.
Now, that is just to talk about the part of actions. We have what we call the means. because I described three parts.
Three things. Actions,
means,
means
and
and purpose.
Now, under the means, these are the things that are done by the trafficker to achieve the actions. If I want to transport you, I do the following things. If I want to recruit you, I use the following means to include. 1, I will deceive you. Deception.
Yeah, we are seeing parents being lied to that, oh, we have scholarships for children, and then their children are being taken.
People go to the villages, they start collecting other people's children, even ask for money from those parents.
And they condition you.
Exactly.
You can't call, you can't text, visit. You shouldn't visit. We shall inform you when you can talk to your child. But why don't people get to say that? You see
why I said these things are happening? We are seeing them, but we do not know that our people are actually in the process of being trafficked.
Yes.
Now, deceit is one. Fraud. Documents are forged. Even for travel abroad.
Yes.
People forge documents to ensure if you're going to a destination where they want you to go, they will make sure they can forge a visa, they can get you so many visas, yet the actual visa is for employment, for instance. They can do so many things, even travel documents. They can forge. Some of the young people whose dates of birth have been changed.
I was going to talk about that, exactly. Yeah. To make them appear
because
older
the
than
labor
they
company
actually are.
Or the employer on the other side says, I want someone of 25 years. Now they have recruited a 20-year-old young person. So they forge those dates and change and forge everything and probably get a national ID that has wrong dates of birth, process a passport with it, and the person travels. But once they are there, they start doing a lot of work that is not for their age. And then they start feeling exploited.
So about that, in case someone forged documents, yes, and they went abroad, so when do you still consider it as trafficking, even when they are successful stories? Like someone forged documents, went abroad, they lived a good life, they didn't find any challenges, they actually got asylum. People give all kinds of different reasons that I'm being abused in my country, there is no freedom of expression and all that, and they're given asylum visas. So in case someone does not find any challenge and they comfortably settle in that country that they've gone to, is that still considered as trafficking? Now,
we have to distinguish here. Someone seeking asylum, because when you go into this country, and for instance, you are in UAE, and you work and you're successful, you have a successful story, and then you decide to tell the government there that, no, I cannot go back home because I'm being persecuted. I'm seeking asylum. That changes the whole story. For you now, you're an asylum seeker. Maybe you're seeking refuge there.
Even
you're
when
not
it's
in
not
the
true.
Category of victims of trafficking.
Okay.
But even those who are refugees in a country like ours, Uganda, we host refugees. The number one country in Africa, yes. 1.6 million. Even the refugees in the country here today can be trafficked.
Yes, we have had those incidences.
Yes. Now, our officers and the different implementers of this act have capacity to distinguish the victim of trafficking from all these other categories of asylum seekers and refugees and what have you. However, if someone went and say they have a success story, they worked and came back,
but they used the back pass in leaving the country, they didn't do it legally.
For bringing that up. And they came back successfully. If we do not know about this person and they are not even complaining, actually those are so many, you should know that the majority don't even come and tell because they have been successful in whatever they are doing, whether they have gone by other means or through labor companies.
Yeah.
Those who are facing this exploitation to the extent that they cannot take it in anymore are the ones that come out and say, we need help. And those are the ones that we attend to. We cannot know that someone is going through this. For
unless
instance,
they come out and speak.
You could be working here at UBC and you're going through something and you decide to keep quiet about it, even those who have gone to work anywhere else may go through the same, and they decide to just keep quiet about it. Now, we cannot know until someone comes out or another person reports on your behalf that, oh, this person is going through ABCD, they are not eating food, they are not being paid, and then you come out also and affirm
that person's statements.
Yes, then we look at the 3 ingredients I said. Action,
means, and
purpose to which your employer keeps you in that state. Then we can say you're under trafficking, you're a victim. If we lose on one of them, you may not be
It
categorized.
disqualifies you from being under
But
the
for
category.
children, now we have a speciality. When it comes to children, we do not care what means have been used.
That is a minor.
That's a minor, at least that you know. That's what we call in our act aggravated trafficking children. Okay?
Yes.
That we have no compromise. And do you know the punishment? To the worst of it, you suffer death.
Death
It's in the
penalty.
law, yes. However, the court can decide, okay, to the least, let's give you life sentence. So, under the means, you realize we talked of deception, fraud. We also have use of force. People are forced. People are kidnapped and transported. All these are trafficking issues. What our people may not know. Even a kidnap.
It's trafficking.
As long as we pick out our ingredients, that is trafficking of the person.
Because people are kidnapped and taken for sacrifice.
Now the trend for human trafficking. And the trend, you know now, some people kidnap children and they call for ransom.
Even adults are taken
Even
and
adults.
ransom is asked for.
Now that is part of the human trafficking happening.
Now that's something I didn't think of
Okay, you
as
see.
trafficking.
Now we learn together today. You realize that these are things that have been happening.
But they look normal to us in society.
Exactly.
We overlook them.
Now, when you go to the prosecution side, our prosecutors have been enhanced in capacity enough in the DPP's office. And they will slap you with all these charges. You have kidnapped, they'll slap you with human trafficking. Then if the person has been, for instance, you said human sacrifice and the person died, you also have a murder case there. That means you have these so many.
You have all that line of crimes,
Yes.
and you have to be accountable for all the
And
crimes
where
that
did
you've
it start?
committed.
You started by trafficking this person, you kidnapped them for the purpose of
Murder, child sacrifice.
So, one other means that I must mention, the fact that I'm in this uniform, is abuse of the office.
Very many people do abuse their
Authorities who
offices.
abuse their spaces and enable perpetrators to conduct their business.
They aid their activities.
They aid. You find me, an immigration officer at the border, also engaged in trafficking because I'm being paid some money. You'll find maybe a police officer who also is playing a part. Maybe a soldier who has influence is also playing this part. You find the LC5 chairperson goes ahead and signs on this list and recommends.
We have actually, even people that I know have seen them.
You've recommended?
Not me recommending, but I've seen someone being recommended. The person does not belong to that village. The LC person does not know the person totally.
Thank you.
But because this person comes and pays a certain amount, because they ask for money,
The
just
LC,
to stamp the document.
LC1 and other LCs who sign on these documents. You said knowingly or unknowingly. I must say, even within the ignorance of what they are doing, they help some of these traffickers to conduct their business. But I must mention that if we find out that you LC1, you signed on this document,
Even
recommended, knowingly or unknowing, and for you it's no exception because you are an authority, like me, you must know that ignorance of the law cannot defend you. And you have to be in position to question, why are these so many girls leaving Bududa, for instance? They are leaving my local council that they are heading to Kenya
What are they going to
What
do
are they going
there?
to do?
Who
You
is taking
pose a
them?
question. Ask the police to come and investigate. Ask the nearest immigration border points. Put it to their attention that when you see so many girls from this place, you first stop them. Let's involve the investigators and see other authorities. Let's not just let things be. Our people are being moved like this. So many Ugandans in Kenya, in the neighboring
Congo,
countries, in
yes.
Congo, wherever.
Buses
they are
and buses
going
of
through
people.
exploitation.
Uganda is among the known countries that recruit and also exploit.
And also a destination.
Yes.
We have so many who have come
in.
And they are being exploited here.
Yeah, because we have very many foreign nationals that do not have the required documentation to even have, they don't have work permits, they don't have the visas, the stay home visas and all that, but they're in Uganda operating businesses, or they are also in search of labor.
Even if they have the required documents, when it comes to human trafficking, even if you have the right visa, you have legal stay, you can't be a victim. You don't necessarily have to be without a visa or here illegally. There are those people who have come in through porous points, it's true, and those who may have gotten proper entry, but when they are here, they start to overstay.
Yes.
So they become illegal at a point, and then they are exploited. So with human trafficking, we are looking at the human being, regardless of how they have come in and we are looking at that human being and what they are going through, and now we work backwards and say, where are the ingredients of the actions, the means, and the purpose? Then we answer the question. Now, when you go to the purpose, you've even mentioned some of those that fall within the purpose. The purpose, I said broadly, the purpose is exploitation.
Yes.
But within there, our law is so beautiful, the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act, that it says to the bare minimum. That means there is a lot more. We are open to include more
within the law,
given the trends now we have online trafficking.
Yeah.
You also mentioned ransoms. People are kidnapped and ransoms are asked for. There are many trends now. We cannot leave our law closed in. So we say to the minimum. One, we said broadly exploitation, but in there you can define so many
forms of exploitation.
And these attract offenses. Sexual exploitation. We have so many of our girls who are going through this. In bars, even here, not even necessarily
not abroad.
They are in India, because we have so many in India. We have many in Dubai on the streets, speaking our Luganda properly. They are there prostituting. And if you ask how they got there, you realize that they are victims actually. They were trafficked, promised, like you said. I don't think there is any one young girl who may allowed to go when she knows that she's going to do prostitution.
Exactly.
But once the perpetrator tells them, you're going to work as so and so, once they get there, life gets hard. They enter normally, then they become illegal, like you said.
Yeah.
The visa expires.
Yes.
The perpetrator now says, I have your passport, your visa expired, so you're going to prison unless you look for money like this and like that. These men are here, they are paying so much, let's make the money.
We have even heard of bestiality, where people are forced to sleep with animals
yes.
So that they can...
So, to the list, when it comes to exploitation, you can list as many things as you want, as long as this person can express their exploitation that they are going through. I'll just mention quickly. We have sexual exploitation, labor exploitation, forced labor.
Yes.
We have children in labor. Now
that is so common here in Uganda. People see it as very normal.
Like I said, these are the things that are happening and we think they are normal. Parents are using children in so many ways to even earn a living. And for them, it's normal. This is my child, and let my child first work for school fees.
I'm teaching my child how to be independent.
There is a difference.
How to be responsible.
There is a difference. Are you teaching them, and when it's time for school, you let them go to school? Or you're holding on to them and telling them, first work
if you raise
for 1 year,
if you raise the money,
fees.
then you can go to school.
Is that
if
right?
If you need a certain requirement, first work for it.
They have not even stopped there. You, the parents, I'm talking to you. You have even sent your kids to other people to work for them, that they will send money back to even look after your siblings, the younger ones. You, why don't you work?
Most of the house helps in Ugandan households are facing that challenge. Their parents send them over to work in other... Yes, they send them to work, and they tell the employer, do not give her a salary, send the money back to me.
Now, that even does not stop at parents, even those whose parents have not sent them, but agents have connected them. Some of the agents tell the employers, they tell us who employ these young girls that don't give this young girl the money, she will waste it.
Give it to me and I keep it for her.
Who is working in this case? Isn't that labor exploitation?
Yes, because she's working but she's not receiving her income.
The person working.
Yes.
It's at the discretion of this person to deduct that money and send it to her.
Let me send back home. Or it's because it's my money. It's upon me to decide what I'm going to do with my money.
Yes. So we have slavery. It's
modern day slavery.
Modern day slavery. Yeah? Use of children in illegal activity. We've seen children in street begging. It's illegal in our country to have children. KCCA passed the ordinance to have children begging on the street.
And some parents do it on purpose.
Yes, we have parents from Karamoja who have deliberately sent their children on the street through those networks in Chikaramoja, in Machindi, in Kamocha, where they stay. They have gangs and people who are there waiting to receive them. And they send them on the street and send some money back. So
the recruiter has to earn and also the parent has to earn.
Of course, if you're the one in the city here, you're the agent, you have to deduct your 10%. I don't know if it's a tithe also or what, but they have their deductions. At the end of the day, if the child has got maybe 10,000 from the street, they're only given maybe food and where to stay.
And where to sleep.
These people divide the money. Maybe even the landlord knows. Now this is to the landlord. Landlords in our country, they don't care to know who stays at their houses.
For them, they're after getting money. If I've received my rent, I don't care what is happening in my house, in my houses, and whoever is sleeping there.
This is a huge concern. This is where now also human trafficking thrives, because the person who is renting your apartment or your house is keeping so many kids in the house. You do not know the person. Maybe you have even used you call them broker.
Yeah, to find you
to bring this
tenants.
Person. And the money is being paid through a third party. That means whatever happens in your apartments, you do not even have a clue.
But you can be held accountable when the law gets you. There is no defense.
Because even in human trafficking, we say hiring of premises. If your premises are hired, because renting is like hiring.
Yes.
If they are hired for whatever reason that leads to trafficking of the person, you are culpable, the owner of the premise. Even those in advertisement and media.
So if I'm advertising for a labor company,
you have to find out about the labor company.
You have to find out how authentic.
Is it licensed?
But now, speaking of that, we have labor companies that are authorized. They have all the regulatory things that are required of them, all the documents, but they're indirectly trafficking people.
It's good you said indirectly. That's now where our law comes in. The police investigators and the prosecutors will establish the indirectness of that. And once we find out that it's true,
you are taking part in that activity.
That's why I said that you, the labor company, you'll lose your labor license. You'll answer these questions in court. We have some people serving sentences from labor companies.
Yes.
Yes.
So, for instance, now like we used that the labor company is found that it's indirectly trafficking people. As a victim that has been taken in another country, if the government or the embassy that side gets me, am I also penalized like the labor company that transported me?
That's a very, very, very pertinent question. Now, when it comes to victims of human trafficking, we handle them very specially. We cannot, even for foreigners you find in our country that are victims of human trafficking, we do not penalize them against immigration irregularities, for instance. No. Even in other countries where we have Ugandans who have been defined as victims of human trafficking, they are not penalized. This is a standard. When it comes to victims of human trafficking, they are innocent of what, regardless of how they got to your country or to whatever destination, to Bali, Gulu, where, to
They
your
were
house.
ignorant.
For them, they are
innocent. They're victims.
As a child.
Yes, because
So
they did not know the intention of
like
that
I said,
person.
when you look at the means, you realize that me who is trafficking you, I looked at the means and I deceived you, I targeted you, I coerced you. Now, like I said, if I came and told you we are going to India and we are going to do prostitution, will you go?
I wouldn't agree.
Exactly. So, because of that, we acknowledge that the victim cannot answer, and we do not penalize them for such. Okay?
Yes.
Under no circumstances. You know, now we are in this social media global environment.
Era.
Online trafficking is happening. Pornography. It's happening. They don't even need you to leave your seat or your country.
We have these things that pop up. You know, you're on internet, you're scrolling your own things, and then something pops up.
And then you pay attention. You even buy data. Can you imagine to this level that you buy your own data on your own phone and then you pay attention to this person in the USA and you're not sure they're in the USA. They could even be in your backyard.
Exactly. They just use a number that is foreign for you to believe. But some people have gotten awareness and they know that these are fraudsters, yes. But many of them still fall victim of these perpetrators' lies. Someone tells you, I'm in Canada, I have such and such an amount of money.
So you realize that now this is happening now fast. It's the trend, it's on the rise. That the more people get to use gadgets and social media and what have you, which has so many advantages, they also are susceptible to being trafficked online. So
we are seeing that digital technology has helped in aiding trafficking the more.
The perpetrators are too sharp, I must say, and they are learned people, they are educated, they are using the gadgets as we use them. They want to be ahead every time. They will use the latest technology. By the time governments and authorities come to detect, these people have done it and they've trafficked so many.
And now that the internet stores a lot, even if you try to take down the video and it has been shared to a number of people,
it will be somewhere.
The damage has already been done. Exactly. It cannot be undone.
Talk of the damage. Human trafficking is so dangerous that the damage, the physical damage is just the least. But the most damage to the victim is mental, psychological. How do you get this person back to the state they were in when they have gone through prostitution in India for like 2-3 years? They can't even count how many men have slept with them. Because
it's like you finish this one, another one isn't. It's like gang rape.
But then someone is being paid. Then they throw you back on the plane and bring you back.
When they
home to your village in Jinja. You feel less of yourself. You feel you can't fit in. Some of them even can commit suicide. They fail to settle in. Even some of the families reject these people, which is so bad.
They're stigmatized.
Yes.
And made to
They're
feel like they
stigmatized.
can't fit within community
So you
or
realize
society.
that the danger that we do not see actually is more than what
The
the
physical
physical
damage.
that we see, that someone's organ has been taken, or
Their
they
arm has
have
been
been
amputated.
tortured or amputated. Those are just the list. But what this person goes through in their head,
Someone is fighting suicide on a daily.
so much. You find someone, they wake up at midnight, they can't sleep because of what they've been going through somewhere. It's that dangerous, you know. So for our viewers, that is how we could understand, and a lot more that you can list, like I said, on there. One thing I want to speak into is the transporters, because like we said, recruitment and transportation. You want to get someone from one district to
To another district.
How do you do that? Through the
Need transportations. Yeah.
border users and riders, taxi drivers,
Bus
drivers, truck
truck
drivers. They use this across the borders. Even pilots. Okay? Of course, the different spaces of operation. The pilot may not know necessarily what's going on in the cabin or whatever it is, but we need to bring to the attention of those who directly interact with the passengers, even our road traffic police officers, because when they stop the car and they are busy checking for the tires or the lights or the third-party license,
they should
driving
check
license, you can still peep into this car and ask. It's within your discretion to ask this driver or conductor why there are so many children and who is in charge
of the children. It's not like they're even in school uniform, that maybe they're going for a trip or what. But
there are so many passing through in taxis, coasters, what. If they are going for a trip, there is, of course, every bus has an in charge.
And they usually have numbers.
Indicate
yes.
which school and where they are going, and you can confirm that information. But you find a group of young girls, aged 20, 21, 21.
You're seeing people of the same age bracket and you don't question.
In a taxi. And you also, when you look at them, in identification of victims of trafficking in persons, identification through observation.
Nervous.
You look at these girls and they look desperate. Pick that attention. They are desperate. You ask them one question and see. You may even ask where they are going and
they do not
And they
know.
told you, they gave us this driver to take us to Kampala, to a place called Natete.
What are you going to do there?
To a hotel called X.
Oh, speaking of that, we even have brokers of jobs.
Yes.
They're actually engaging in online trafficking, both physical and online. So they send out messages and they're like, I have these kind of jobs. Contact me on this number. So you call them and they tell you you're supposed to pay a certain sum of money. So they take you.
They've already started exploiting you.
Yes. So they keep you somewhere and they tell you, when we get a job that you can do, we shall let you know.
Who was defrauded the other? If they take an example, every day I have, even if they're just 10 people, and I ask them, send 10,000 for your registration, 10,000 shillings. That means every day across the country, I'm earning 100,000. I said to the minimum, they can even talk to 50 people.
They even ask for 70.
You find a group of them doing it in an internet cafe or somewhere, and each one is talking to 5, 10, 20 people. And maybe they get some victims in there who send the money. Now imagine, let's do the math. 100,000 on my head every day. For, let's exclude Sunday.
Up to Saturday, that's 600,000 every week.
Multiply it by 4 weeks in a month. Okay, 2.4. Is it? Yes. Do I need to go to look for a job?
No.
And I've promised you that I will call you, leave your number, I'll have your details.
When I get a job, I'll let you know.
I can even send you a text message. How much is a text message? And you've given me 10,000, I've given you 20 shillings back in a text message. and then you're at peace. You say, these people, I contacted them, and they've responded. They don't have the job I want.
Some even
10,000 gone.
Some even when they're tired, when they want to get you off their back, they'll tell you, okay, come to such and such a place. When you get there, they turn off their
these
phones.
Arcades. No, you may even get there in those spaces. They have rented a small shop in an arcade. It's an office. And after 1 week, it's no more. And once they realize probably you're too serious about this, they may connect you to an agent who takes victims to Qatar, for instance. They say, now you look for 1 million shillings or 2. Pay this person. Process your passport. Like you said, some may even tell you, we process your passport for you.
Yeah, well, you just pay like 3 million and everything, we shall do it for you.
You see?
And then someone sells their land, like someone is a peasant already, and they're taking away even the little that they have to leave them with totally nothing.
And like I said, these people who are even selling the land and animals don't even own these properties. That's why I said the parents are involved. My soul-loving daughter will come to me or son and say, there's this opportunity, I've finished university, 2 years I don't have a job. Can we sell this goat or this cow? They need 500,000 or 1 million shillings. And because the parent is equally desperate, they want to see their child working. They may sell that piece of land, hoping that you will end up in Qatar. Unfortunately, some of our victims actually travel.
Yeah.
But when the perpetrator, like I said, the person knows there is no job. They will just make you travel. You end up in the Chiumba. And then those are the stories you hear.
Yes.
I've been here for 2 months. We have no work. We are just here. So and so brought me. Yes, for him he earned the 3 million. He used maybe 1.5 to enable you to get. You're just going to use the plane, and before you know it, maybe you're in the prison there for illegal stay, and then you're back. Frustrated, land is gone from the parents, name it.
And some of them are scared to call their parents and let them know.
You mentioned the stigma.
So they're like,
and some of our parents have already bragged on the village that my daughter has gone to Qatar. Now you people are buying the rest of you around, our neighbors. And the child cannot come back to the village because they're facing that stigma. Their parent feels they are ashamed. For us, what matters the most is the life of this victim. We have so many partners we play this role with. The CSOs. Our CSOs in the country have played the biggest role. They have shelters where, now for instance, for victims who cannot go back home immediately, the CSOs take up this.
They have those support systems that help the victims.
They have shelters and they look after you, they bring you back to normal when you're ready to go back home.
And they're like, I can now face my people.
So that coalition of CSOs in the country, we call it KATIP, has played a very big role to the extent that now they developed what we call an online directory of service providers in CSOs. Anyone can just go on their phone. You have a victim you've identified. You look for the CSO in your locality or whichever that can provide this service. You connect this person. You may not necessarily first go to police. No. As long as you first get the victim out of danger,
then you can get in touch with the CSOs and then they can help this person. The police,
but the CSOs are there. They are helping us so much. And the international partners, I said, they fund us. The European Union, the German government, through GIZ, they fund so many activities in the border, border management program, better migration management program, BMM program. We have so many implementers of these programs, like International Organization for Migration, we commonly know as IOM. Recently, they participated and helped us to repatriate 23 Ugandans from Myanmar. I think you saw that.
Yes.
Yes, it was the role of CSOs there, the ones here, and then IOM in partnership with IOM in Myanmar and Malaysia. And we had the Ugandans
retrieved and
through the efforts of Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Because like I said, we work closely with all the parties.
Because
Now,
it's not a one man's
no,
job. We all
it's
need to
never.
get together.
Everyone has a role and a mandate that they play in preventing trafficking in person. So Foreign Affairs there played its part, coordinating with the governments and talking peace, because our people were held up in a war zone in Myanmar. It had to be a dialogue, diplomatic dialogue through Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And lucky enough, we had our people repatriated successfully with all the support from IOM and other partners. And they are back home, safe, 23 of them, okay? But you realize most of these actually were even, some were university graduates in ICT. So like I said, any one of you
Can fall
at any
victim.
point in time. Like I said, of course, the law is very good in a way that it also limits this punishment to the person or the perpetrator. As this company is licensed, for instance, the company is licensed, for instance, and it has everything in place. This means that you will provide the service and they will pay their money. You advertise for them. You know you've also done your due diligence and you know that the company is authentic. You have no business after that whatsoever. That company is answerable for whatever dubious activity they are doing in there. That's the whole thing. So the law will apply with its limit according to where your input stops. But as long as you also knew that this company was not licensed, you have this information and you continue to advertise for them, then you're culpable as an organization or a business, even if it's a radio station. And we've heard of those advertisements on radios and what have you. As long as these people are trafficking others and they're using your media platforms, it also gets to you and you're culpable.
We also have to be penalized.
Yes, you're also culpable. Now, where you have an officer like me involved in trafficking of persons, our Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act is very clear for the officer like me. The punishment is imprisonment, life imprisonment for the officer. So anyone who dresses like me and other authorities, whether you're chairman, so and so, you have authority or an office, your punishment, you will be imprisoned.
Because you're misusing your office.
You have abused your office, which we expect you to be responsible for. So, especially in protecting victims and other people's rights and freedoms.
So, how are culture, norms, and values aiding human trafficking within the country?
The practices, like I mentioned earlier on, because cultural norms are things we normalize.
Yes, things we
believe in.
Yes.
We think we are part of.
Our beliefs, attitudes.
Yes. And even the cultures we come from, we practice them. If you come from a culture where they say we can marry off girls at the age of 10, for instance, that is a wrong practice. Where we have a constitution that says adult age is 18. So you're also culpable because the supreme law is the constitution. We have to fall within the confines of the law. So whichever the practice of faith
that you believe in,
what is applicable is the supreme law. Yes.
Okay.
But again, the cultural institutions play a very big role in helping us combat human trafficking because they address themselves to masses of people. And once some of the cultural leaders come out and say, our people, pay attention to fraudsters, pay attention to traffickers, pay attention to perpetrators, and this is what you can do to avoid, report this and that, then we have so many people saved from this kind of crime. So they play a very big role
in combating,
yes,
human
just laying that
trafficking.
information out there. They play a very big role. And it's not limited to those. Education institutions, they house the largest population of this country, the youth, are in schools. Ministry of Education has a very big role here. We have peer activities that used to happen about HIV and AIDS. How do you avoid the ABC that was introduced by our First Lady, Mama Janet? You realize that it played a big role in creating awareness about abstinence, being faithful, or using the condom. We can use these similar platforms also in schools.
So we can come up with different campaigns.
Yes, to also help in combating or creating awareness to combat human trafficking. When we are creating awareness in the context of preventing human trafficking, any way that we can raise awareness is so relevant, whether they are drama groups, whether they are songs, because we have some of these out there. There are some of the survivors in drama groups who are creating scripts, conducting these acts and trying to show what happens there.
They're trying to put the story out there so that those that don't know get the information.
With some songs, yes. So in whatever way or format, even if it's just painting the word "Stop Human Trafficking," it starts with me on a taxi behind there. Instead of, say, putting a certain footballer of a certain team, and you just put "Stop Human Trafficking," it starts with me, the taxi driver or something. It's so meaningful to the person reading it also. Border persons, we have given some reflector jackets to border persons who have put with wordings behind.
Yes.
Human trafficking is dangerous. Stop human trafficking. It starts with me. And this has been enabled by many of our international partners. This IOM has funded. So you realize that in any format that we can achieve awareness raising in combating trafficking in persons, whether in schools, universities, cultural institutions, name it, faith-based institutions, churches, name it, it's all the way to go. Because we cannot fight human trafficking single-handedly. It's a
joint effort.
Yes, a joint effort for each and every one of us. Thank you.
I hope each of you has learned something about human trafficking. We have gotten to know that 3 things aid human trafficking. Those are actions, means, and the purpose. And in the purpose, we have exploitation, which you can break down into different forms, and you get to know. So I hope each of you stays cautious and vigilant from human traffickers. Thank you. Till next time.